I'm Doug Adler. I'm associate editor for gastrointestinal endoscopy, and I'm also a professor of medicine at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. I'm joined here today by Roy Satikno, and we're going to discuss his paper, Use of the Over-the-Scope Clip to Treat Massive Bleeding in the Transitional Zone of the Anal Canal, a case series. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Doug.
So, over-the-scope clips have been around for a couple of years now, and I think most of us probably have experience using them to maybe try to close fistulas or perforations. Probably fewer people have experience in it with bleeding. How did you guys come to using the over-the-scope clips in this context?
I think over the scope clip has been around, as you said, for maybe more than 2 years, but its use has been limited to so-called the rescue therapy, and yet we have these bleedings that may not be able to be solved by endoscopy 100% of the time. And we believe that perhaps it's about time that we should use these clips to stop this bleeding and provide a much more lasting therapy, meaning 100% cure.
Right.
And then, just like in many new things in endoscopy, we started with the most difficult cases. And we had these 5 cases whereby the bleeding had been induced because of a previous surgery, or the patients would have needed more surgery.
These were post-hemorrhoid surgeries mostly, or
yeah,
was it all of them?
They are a mix. There's also like a Dieulafoy bleed, for example. And these cases usually would go straight to the OR. But we believe that they could be treated by endoscopy if we have the same accessories, just like the surgeon, meaning that we can suture them.
Right.
And here we have the over-the-scope clip that can be utilized for these.
Did you, were these, let me back up, were these patients who had hemorrhoid therapy by surgeons or by endoscopists?
Some of them were by surgeons, and then some were by endoscopists.
And how long was the average patient out from their procedure before the bleeding developed?
I think it's up to 2 weeks. And when the surgeon actually admitted this patient, they just said, well, this would be even difficult for them to be treating them.
Right.
So,
And how do you think the surgeons, let's say the surgeons had taken it to the OR, what do you think they would have done in the OR? Probably try to ligate directly or something else? What do you think they would have done had you not been there with your over-the-scope clip?
I think they actually would have a hard time trying to find the bleeding site because they are quite a massive bleed. And then subsequently they would perhaps suture them. But trying to find a pinpoint location when it's like this massive is not easy. And here we have the endoscope that has a great suction, great visualization, and now we have the additional tool of suturing through the endoscope. And the difference between suturing using the off-esco and the suture through the endoscope is that it is actually much more readily available.
So you're using the term suturing when you describe the clip. I don't think most people would describe the clip as suturing. That's interesting.
I think the right term should be actually a term that hasn't been used before. I think this whole concept should be changed to endoscopic clamping technique. We are using really a clamp. This is somewhat different than the typical clip that we use. But the clamp is really a very efficient way to suture.
Interesting. It's interesting. It's a novel way to sort of think about the terminology that we're using, especially since the company themselves calls it a clip. It's interesting.
Yeah, but as you know, there's like small paper clips. We say that we clip a paper.
Right, and binder clips.
There's a binder clip, but then if you look at it, it's really we use those binder clip to clamp a stack of papers.
Right. No, I totally see where you're going. It's interesting. It's like you've sort of reformulated our lexicon, basically.
I think it's a different level of clipping, and if we define it differently, I think it will work better in terms of knowing what our outcomes will be, what the reimbursement will be in the future. But this is not the standard clipping, so it should be
Right.
different.
And the terminology affects the way people think about it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So were you able to do these procedures in the forward view, or did you retroflex, or a mixture?
It's a mixture, but the key is that here we have perhaps among the most difficult location, meaning we are so close to the dentate line, and had we clamped the dentate
You
line,
would have had a lot of pain.
we would have patients who would be literally screaming.
Right. But I guess on the other hand, if they're having a life-threatening bleed, you could imagine somebody might have to in the future.
Yeah, but I think what we wanted to show, look, we know how to perform banding at the same area. And if we extend the same technique to clamping, we actually can get the same safety. Yet, because we are using a clamp, we are getting a much better results.
How long? So wait. So I just want to back up and make sure I got it right. Were you doing them forward viewing or retroflex?
So some are forward and some are retro, but I think the combination of the two actually show that, look, if you either way you do it, you can do it well.
Was one easier than the other?
The key is that you have to ask the patients. We routinely ask the patient, so they are lightly sedated. We ask the patients, is this painful as we suction the
Right.
tissue?
So when you had suction, but before you deployed.
Correct. So that part is critical. So we ask multiple times, is this painful? Is this painful? And when we are sure that by
You were
visualization we are above, and the patients confirm that they are not having any pain, then we would deploy.
Right. So because you were using the over-the-scope clip device so low down, and these were, except for the Dulafoy, these were hemorrhoid bleeds, I assume you didn't use the grasper, correct?
There is no need to.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Right, exactly.
Because the tissue is very spongy, very soft.
So what were your outcomes in these 5 people?
100%.
100%.
No.
Any adverse events?
But I think the most important part about this paper is it should be thought as like a phase 1, phase 2 trial.
proof of concept.
Proof of concept that, look, this thing that most people think cannot be deployed in that area actually can be deployed there safely and, most importantly, also effectively.
Did you use different sizes of clips, or did you do them all with one side? Did you use a gastroscope, colonoscope?
I think the best way to reach this area, just like right above the dentate line, is actually to use an upper scope. And because they are bleeders, then the therapeutic scope is the most suitable.
Right. That makes sense.
And the reason is that it's described in the paper that the use of the gastroscope allows us to make a retroflexion that's very tight, and then we can get to the area very precisely.
I was going to say, well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Precise control there.
Yeah.
Any last points you want to make to the readers?
I think there are a lot more stuff like we can achieve by improving our techniques. And here we have had the over-the-scope clip that has been now accumulating a lot of data, and it's just about time that we say, look, we have a new set of techniques. It's called endoscopic clamping technique, and here what we can do. Here's the data, and this piece of this paper adds to it. That we are pushing the boundary of endoscopy.
The over-the-scope clamp.
Yes.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.